The NFL season is finally starting, which means I might upload a video within the next decade. And I thought that instead of you having to watch a 30-year-old single man deeply analyze the Denver Broncos, I would compile everything you need to know for this season. I'll leave marks for different parts of the video, so if you're not interested in one section, you can go to the next. And if you haven't already, subscribe because I judge my entire personal self-worth from strangers on the internet. So first off, compared to the past couple of years, this was a very boring offseason. Good teams are still good, and bad teams are still bad. Big trades were Aaron Rodgers to the Jets, and now more children will be subjected to that man's face. Patriots got Juju Smith-Schuster, Odell Beckham Jr. went to the Ravens, and D-Hop went to the Titans. The draft also happened, and to be honest, I don't care about the draft, but if you're curious, here is around how every team is expected to do. This is different from the tier list I'll do at the end of the video, so stay for that. Every team's most important position is quarterback, so I'm going to give you a rundown of every team's Kyler Murray is going into his 4th season with the Cardinals and is overall listed as an above-average quarterback. He doesn't really seem to have a large skill ceiling, and the Cardinals won't really be able to make a deep playoff run unless he really has good tools around him. There's also concern for him because he's very injury-prone. He's also 5'2". The Falcons are in a really bad position for quarterbacks. Their options are Logan Woodside, Taylor Heineke, and Desmond Ridder. They recently declared Desmond Ridder as their starter, which is not great. He won't be able to lead a team to more than 6 wins, but Taylor Heineke is probably worse. The Bears are actually in better shape than people expected. Justin Fields is showing potential after a terrible 2021. If he can improve his throwing, he could become one of the league's elite quarterbacks. Unfortunately, the odds are stacked against him because the Bears have not had a franchise quarterback since Hitler was alive. The Cowboys have Dak Prescott, and they will go 11-5 and be first-round exits for the 20th year in a row. After having a terrible 2021 season, Jared Goff finally started to show signs of his old self and started playing like a quarterback again. He ran a very efficient offense last year, but fell short of the playoffs due to the fact that he had the average 6th grade recess football team playing defense. He's one level away from being elite, but if he can play well this year, the Lions have a chance to get their second ever franchise playoff win. Jordan Love literally is the hardest job in the NFL. He has to follow the 30-year quarterback dominance of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. In his few times playing, he has shown to be okay at best, and seeing as the Packers made a very little offseason move, the expectation is very low this season for him. Matt Stafford seemed to have regressed after his amazing 2021 season. It might be because he's getting old, or because now there isn't a super team around him anymore. Though last year wasn't made any easier because of Cooper Kupp being injured and his own injuries, the hope is that this year he can secure a playoff spot, though to be honest, I doubt it. To be honest, Kirk Cousins might be the most average human alive. There's really nothing special about him, but also literally nothing inherently bad with how he plays. Because of his receivers, he doesn't need to play amazingly to win games. That philosophy works terribly once you play better teams, which is the exact reason why the Vikings had a negative point differential last season. Derek Carr was traded to the Saints, which was low-key a dick move by the Raiders, trading away your franchise guy. He was playing badly in Las Vegas and obviously showing signs of aging. This is really his last year to prove if he has any more worth in the league. If not, he'll probably retire within the next few years. Daniel Jones finally showed signs of being a decent quarterback last year, making a decent playoff run. If he keeps developing, at some point the Giants might be able to start appearing in the playoffs more. Me personally though, I like Jake Fromm more. Jalen Hurts was the best thing to happen to the Eagles since the Philly special. It was a massive risk drafting him in 2020 and everybody thought it was dumb, but in hindsight, literally every team should do what the Eagles did. He was baking for 2 years until he turned into an actual quarterback, and in recent years he's an example of a fast quarterback actually knowing how to throw the ball. Even though he's really good and the Eagles have crazy expectations this year, all of Philadelphia will crucify him if the Eagles don't get a Super Bowl. When originally making this video, I was writing about Trey Lance and then he got traded. Brock Purdy is the quarterback right now, and it's still unclear how healthy it is. It's also unclear if he was a system quarterback or not, so I guess we're gonna see this year. Geno Smith actually was really good for the Seahawks last year. He still isn't very impressive and he's getting old. With his age, there's always a chance that he just snaps his legs, and then in that case, then you have to use Drew Lock, who definitely should not be in the NFL. The Panthers have their first overall pick, Bryce Young, as their quarterback. He does seem to be really good, but day one starters almost never turn out well. If he shows upside, it'll probably be in a year, or not, because he's on the goddamn Panthers. The Buccaneers lost Tom Brady, so they'll go back to how they usually are. Very, very bad. Though there's nothing to worry about. They got the perfect backup for Tom Brady, fucking Baker Mayfield. Sam Howell is the quarterback for the Commanders. I honestly don't think it'll matter that much. He's obviously not incredible, but neither has any Washington quarterback in 5 years. At best, he might get them a winning record. Well, that's the NFC. Overall, pretty bad. There's a lot of random new guys who will all lead their teams to 6-11 seasons. But now for the interesting part, the AFC. Lamar Jackson has been one of the league's elite QBs for a while. He's obviously known for his running abilities and for carrying people's fantasy football teams. There's no doubt he will do good for his team if he stays healthy, but that's the issue. to. When you run that much, the odds of your legs snapping are high, and that issue started to show last year, and it's not going to get any easier as he ages. I really think he needs to improve his throwing skills and learn how to use his legs as a tool, not his main aspect, kinda like Josh Allen. Speaking of which, Josh Allen is really fucking good. Every year he seemed to have gone better. As somebody who has watched Josh Allen dance on my team twice a year, I have learned that it is literally impossible to sack that motherfucker. He's got an absolute cannon and is really scary when he goes deep, especially because Gabriel Davis is somehow always open. If he stays healthy, he'll probably be a top 3 QB in the league this year. However, he's still a very physical quarterback and still has a chance of injury. He's also the Madden cover athlete, so he'll suffer a brain tumor week 2. Deshaun Watson was a bad idea. He was gone from the league for more than a year and a half, and even before that, I would say he was barely an elite quarterback. The Browns took a massive risk on the massage master, and has not paid off so far. He will either prove everyone wrong, or the Browns will become a massive joke in the NFL for the next 20 years. It's also unfortunate because he's such a great person. Kenny Pickett honestly doesn't seem terrible. He wasn't amazing, but did show upside last season. Obviously, he wasn't going to be incredible because it's his rookie year, but now he's actually developed. It might be good for the Steelers. He has a good coach and a really good defense. I don't think much is going to happen this year, but give him a year or two and the Steelers might make a playoff run. CJ Stroud is the new Texans QB. It should have been Bryce Young, but the Texans decided that this random-ass Colts game with zero implications matters more than the first overall pick. Stroud, though, has the same issue as the other rookies. First year needs to develop. Rookie QBs almost always get eaten up by NFL defenses. Give him a year or two and hopefully become solid. I'm not going to spend too long on the Broncos because trust me, I could go on forever, but I'll just say this. Russell Wilson is aging out of the traits that once made him an elite quarterback, and he has lost the ability to make key plays for the offense when they need him to. I would be happy to be proven wrong in 20 weeks, but until then, I will stand by that. Joe Burrow is now going into his 4th season as the Bengals QB, and in that time, he has transformed the Bengals, shit franchise, into consistently one of the best in the league. He seems to get better every year and is easily top 5 in the league. The only thing he needs now is a Super Bowl, more than that later. Anthony Richardson is starting for the Colts, and I think that he is in the same position as the other rookies. He needs to develop. Trevor Lawrence went from being one of the worst quarterbacks in the league to a really solid one. Like what? How did he just start playing like a competent player? He actually uses his legs and knows how to throw the ball to his own team. Unlike other quarterbacks I've mentioned, this year he was able to step up when his team needed him most to win a playoff game. It's a shame that the Jags are still a few years away from building a team around him, but for the first time basically ever for the Jags, they have a franchise guy to build around. The only worry is that this is a similar situation with Baker Mayfield in 2020. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Patrick Mahomes is easily the best quarterback in the league. Even with a shite team around him, the Chiefs are basically guaranteed an AFC championship spot. Hopefully he starts racking up enough rings to eventually join the GOAT debate. Jimmy Garoppolo got traded to the Raiders. Overall, he's alright. He has nothing special about him, but he can get the job done. So imagine him as Tom Brady, who is worse in every way. At this point, I fully believe he's only still in the league because of how majestic he looks, but honestly, I'm not complaining. Justin Herbert is deceiving. On the surface, he seems like he would be an insane quarterback, and sometimes he is, but there's something about him that's just off. Behind all these flashy plays you're seeing is a quarterback who's only one game above 500. He's a player who just can't seem to take his team to the next level. And in this way, I think he's the polar opposite of Tom Brady. Herbert just seems to make the wrong plays at the wrong time. Every time he does something good, he does something bad. It could be Brendan Staley, who's the terrible play caller, or maybe that just is how he is. The Titans have Ryan Tannehill again. He's past his prime, which his prime was average, and now he just plays decently enough to be a first-round exit almost every year. Unfortunately for him, the Jaguars are now good, so they don't have a free division anymore. It's easier for him than others though, because Derrick Henry can almost single-handedly beat any team, and now they have D-Hop, who's still a demon. Tua has shown improvement from 2021, however, he's still not a QB you want to make anywhere past the divisional round. He's just too inconsistent, but more importantly, this man keeps dying on the field. It genuinely scares me when I see him go on the football field. At this rate, he will get CTE and die on the field. I'm about to talk about my Patriots, so this might be a little longer. Mac Jones is pretty fucking sad. He's very boring in terms of skill. Look at him, it's hard to find anything special. The reason why the Patriots still wanted him is because he's very similar to what Tom Brady was like, and if Bill did it once, why not do it again? The issue is that there's a reason why there was only one Tom Brady, and there will most likely never be someone like him again. Mac Jones this year just seems to be kind of shit. He stopped showing potential like he was his rookie season, but in his defense, he had zero offense around him, and he was constantly fighting with Matt Patricia. It's said that if a quarterback does not show signs within its first 3 years, then they're a bust, and seeing as the QBs in his class are starting to show signs, this really is his last year to show anything. Finally, the Jets. They got Aaron Rodgers, who's obviously very good. He's been one of the best QBs in the league for most of his career, and he seems like a good fit for the Jets. What I think about it, though, which hasn't really been said, there are a lot of similarities to Russell Wilson going to the Broncos. A team with an elite defense, solid receivers, and a young coach with a team that's a quarterback away. Obviously, it may go differently than what happened to Denver last year, but I wouldn't count on it. Holy shit, that was a lot to go through. If by some miracle you're still watching, I'm now going to go through each division briefly and grade the divisions A to F based on how good the teams are and how entertaining they'll be. Here we go. The NFC North is the Vikings, the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers, two of which have a lot of potential and high hopes for this season. One of them is just hoping to be mediocre, and the Green Bay Packers. If the Bears play well around Justin Fields, they may have a chance to get the division. The Vikings had the luckiest season ever last year and are most likely to be average without Dalvin Cook, and the Packers are just in a world of hurt. If you ask me, I think the Lions have the best chance to win the division. Overall, a pretty average division, but have two very entertaining teams in the Lions and the Bears, so overall B. The NFC East is one of the better divisions with this big fucking tumor right there, but other than that, they're really good. The Eagles are looking for a Super Bowl this year, and the Giants are trying to make another playoff run. As for Washington, I have them being above average at best. I obviously have the Eagles winning the division, with the Giants getting a wildcard spot. Overall, A-. The NFC South fucking sucks dick. Saints win though. The NFC West really hasn't been talked about this offseason. I would say it's been the quietest division. The teams are pretty similar, except the Cardinals suck a little bit more. I think the 49ers run away with it if Brock Purdy can get healthy, and I think the Seahawks get a wild card spot. Speaking of which, the Seahawks win the award for the coolest jersey redesigns, C+. The AFC North is pretty stacked. The Bengals are looking for another AFC Championship slot. The Ravens are still solid, even though they won't make noises postseason, and the Steelers are young and developing, and also Cleveland. Overall, it's a fun division, but pretty lame compared to the AFC. B-. The AFC South is the worst division in the AFC, though they are pretty interesting. The Jaguars have to prove last year wasn't a fluke by winning the division again. The Texans really need to show some signs of improvement this year after 2 terrible seasons. The Colts have a rookie QB, meaning it's impossible for them to win more than 8 games this year. And as for the Titans, this year Ryan Tannehill really needs to prove he's good and not a liability. As long as he plays decently, the offense should do enough to win with Derrick Henry. It's a C-. The AFC East is probably the second most interesting division this year. It's arguably the best division now that the Jets have Aaron Rodgers. The main stories are if the Bills can finally reach the next level and make a Super Bowl, can Tua stay alive for a whole season, and can the Patriots win 8 games? The obvious big thing is the Jets. All of the pressure is on them to prove the money they spent is worth it. The division is an A.
Lee Bear, they hit the South Tower.
The AFC West is the best in football, not because of the rest of the teams, but because of the Chiefs. It brings them to the top. The Chargers might actually win if they show some form of defense. The Raiders have Jimmy Garoppolo, and I don't even fucking know what's up with the Broncos. Division is hella fun though. A+. Jesus Christ, final part. This is the part you guys have been waiting for. It's tier list time. Here are our tiers. We got S. We'll make a playoff run. Playoff team. Just short of the playoffs. Teams that I think will make it in a few years. Mid, ass, and finally XFL team. With that out of the way, here we go. The Saints now have Derek Carr. Will that make them good? No. Are they in the AFC South? Yes. That means they'll probably make the playoffs. The Dolphins are pretty good. I think there are still teams who will do better just because of how hard the AFC means, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve playoffs, but I think they'll be short. The Ravens are a good team on paper, and they would have made the playoffs if it wasn't for injury last year. If the team stays healthy, I think they're a wild card. The Bengals are basically locked, almost guaranteed a spot in the AFC Championship. S. Just go to where you belong, buddy. The Giants aren't incredible, but they are showing signs of improvement and even won a playoff game last year. I do think that was a fluke, but I think they'll be a wild card. Last year I thought was insanely lucky, and Kirk Cousins isn't bad, but he's nothing special, and I think losing Dalvin Cook is going to be a big deal. I feel like he functioned as the backbone for the team. They may make the playoffs one year, but for now I think they're going to be short. The Rams are still recovering from selling their souls for that Super Bowl, but even with Cooper Kupp back, I still don't think they'll win more than 6 games. Ass! The Buccaneers lost Tom Brady. Shit's going to be bad this year. I think the Lions have been getting better, and now they actually have a defense. Along with the NFC sucking ass, I think they can make the playoffs. The Bears are showing signs of improvement, but are still far from the playoffs. Justin Fields isn't that good, and the rest of the team is still ass. Don't expect more than 5 wins, but the team is a few years away. The 49ers are still a really stacked team, but I think they're not quite good enough to make the Super Bowl, but they will make some sort of playoff run. The Eagles are still the best team in the NFC and are basically locked for the Super Bowl, but in this NFL, there could be a lot of crazy bullshit to happen. The Raiders are just not good. Josh McDaniels is bad, Jimmy G is mid, and I know for the 1 millionth time I've said this, but the AFG is just too hard. They can sit right next to the Broncos. The Packers don't have Aaron Rodgers, which means they have better playoff luck, but they're still a couple years away. If I could describe the Commanders in one word, mid. The Cardinals have a little goober with glass legs as their QB, which is the best part of the team. Ass. The Steelers are going to have a winning record whether you like it or not. Buffalo is once again going to be really good, but I think they're going to be in a similar position to the 49ers. They just seem to be one step away. The Falcons, mid. The Seahawks are a pretty solid team all around, which in the NFC is usually enough to make the playoffs. The Patriots, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they're a few years away. Right now, the AFC is just too hard. To be honest, they'll probably go 7-2. The Browns are ass, unless Deshaun Watson shows signs again. But until then, ass. I know I made this tier just for the Texans, right? Alright, Chiefs, go up there and shut the fuck up. Cowboys are gonna do the same thing they've done the past 20 years. Win 10 games and be first round exits. The Chargers, I think, are gonna actually start winning, but they're still gonna lose the wild card round. The Jets obviously have an elite quarterback now, but I still think it'll take him time to get used to the system, so I still think it'll be a couple years. Panthers, mid. Titans, mid. Colts, they can finally get out of their QB drought since they lost Andrew Luck. Hopefully in a few years they'll figure it out, but the Jaguars, I think, will win their division, and I think even make a small playoff run. But I only think that'll happen if Trevor Lawrence gets any better. Thank you guys so much for watching. You have no idea how long this took to make. Please subscribe, and now I will go back into my decade-long hibernation.